And my 9/11 dream was, it was so bizarre. It was like 10 days before September 11th. I was moving apartments in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I couldn't move into my new place until the 5th of September. So I had like 4 or 5 days where I had to stay at a friend's house. And it was a Saturday night, and we were watching a movie, and he was laying on one side of the couch, and I was on the other couch, and I had fallen asleep, and he hadn't fallen asleep yet. And he said I moved faster than anyone he's ever seen his whole life. He was like, it was like your muscles twitched all at one time, and you like were off of the couch. And dude, I was throwing furniture in the house. Like I tipped over the couch whenever I got up, like I flipped it up, and I started throwing chairs and shit around it was his parents' house. And so they came downstairs and they were like hit me on the shoulder. They woke me up. And his mom's reaction was thinking that I was on drugs, which I wasn't. But I had a dream that I was in a skyscraper, you guys, and I remember I was on the phone, okay? And I remember looking out one side and not knowing where I was at, but I was in a huge city. And then on the left side of me, a plane flew through the window of the office that I was in. And I could remember the concussion, like I had a tie on in the dream, and the concussion was so powerful that it was like my tie wrapped around the cord. So this was what I dreamed the night that my friend saw me like have a night terror. I was having this dream. And so I only told one person about it is because he was there, like Kane witnessed it. And so I told him the story the next day, right? And it like impacted me that night. I mean, I went upstairs in my room and I knew I wasn't going to fall back to sleep because I did not want to fall back asleep into the dream because it wasn't a dream, it was a nightmare. And like that night until like 7 o'clock in the morning, I was up. And right after the dream, I went into the room and I like, I laid down on my bed and like this feeling or this power that I've never felt before my whole life, like engulfed my whole body. And I was like overwhelmed. Like, I don't want to sound, I don't know. Like, that's when I definitely realized, or that's when I was like, for sure, an empath. I just didn't know what an empath was. But the emotion, the feeling was like, it was pure love.
Have you ever been to the World Trade Center before that dream?
Never. And so when it happened on 9/11, it was an event that captivated me, it activated me, and it motivated me. And it was all of my attention. I remember sitting in front of a TV at my house, and I had like rabbit ears, no cable. And dude, I watched on TV, I guess like everyone else did for what? Almost a whole week. And the spell was so powerful for me. But once I went back and looked at those buildings falling the way in the manner in which they did, or, I mean, there's so many different theories. You have Judy Wood, and she talks about, basically the Twin Towers were like a tuning fork, and the vibrations and the energy that they use, it dustified the building. The building turned into dust and blew away in front of us on TV. And then, of course, they found what did they find? Rich, they found the passports to the terrorists on the, streets in New York City. And they found an inflated airplane tire, and inflated. And so I realized.
And then I actually, there's a, you can actually go to Google and you can type in Concision 33. You put it all together, Concision 33, and you can go back and it shows all the video footage. We're talking about the murder of Martin Luther King, 9/11. Let's see, the Oklahoma City bombing. Whenever at the Oklahoma City bombing, all the news footage where where they're talking about how there was multiple bombs over and over. There was multiple bombs inside the building in Oklahoma City. Now, the van that was put up in front of the building, there was no way it could have done that kind of damage, because in order for an explosion to be projected towards that building, he would have had to have like a 3-inch piece of plate still on the backside of the explosives, but they didn't. So it just kind of went off instead of projected out. So they know that there's no way that Oklahoma City building could have been blown up by that van. And what's even crazier than that is the fact that if there were multiple explosives that went off inside that building, just like they said, they would still evacuating even the bomb squads down there. And you got to wonder, there was fucking children in there. And in order for you to get inside of a federal building and do that, you would have to be a part of it. And I believe it was the congressman or senator's son for that state had actually wrote a book. And along those lines of everything that happened down there in Oklahoma City was in that book, all the way up to the names. The axle that got blown down the street was written in her book. Yes.
So what we're talking about is false flags. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Very much. Yeah.
And it's been happening since the beginning of time, since the pirates. The pirates would change their flags on their ships to look like allies or a certain, other people. And then they would go on to other people's ships and then steal all their shit. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's exactly right. That's and like we were saying before, the false flag and the skull and bones, the 322, the skull and bones order are the pirates. Now that goes all the way back to the Knights of Malta, and like in the Bible, they talked about the land of Tyre, which was the Phoenicians. Now you might say, what the hell what difference does that make? But all of our language, our phonics, comes from the Phoenicians. They use that shit to manipulate you into buying their goods. They had to have a way to be able to communicate with just anybody to be able to sell the goods. So they had to come up with an alphabet. So they was basically the first alphabet, and the whole idea behind sales anyway is to create images in your mind. Now, how does that correlate with false flag events? Well, doesn't it create an image of some sort of fear and that thought in your mind? Just think what 9/11 has done to the American people. I mean, people they're still going through the anxiety and torment of the whole idea of what happened at 9/11, and are willing to give up their freedoms. Look what we got. We're probably being recorded for what we're saying right now. The internet going down every time we say specific things or it buffering is because after 9/11, the Patriot Act basically made all patriots, enemies.
Let me ask you a question.
Right.
Before 9/11, do you think that there probably was, but do you think that there was a such thing as an algorithm? Or do you think the algorithm, that was the introduction of the algorithm, that came with the surveillance state, that came with the Patriot Act after 9/11?
No, I think the algorithm's been around for a long time. It's like the name of your show, Paradigm. We all have a paradigm. We all have a pattern, a specific pattern that we follow. And they've known that for a long time through psychology. This goes all the way back to the time of Hermes Trismegistus and the Egyptians. They knew that shit.
Whenever they say they have their technology is 100 years ahead of us, or whatever you hear someone say, 500 years ahead of us, the technology, man, they're 1,000 years behind us. They've had this technology in place, and they've used what we would call magic. It's really science that it's been undiscovered to us thus far. I think people are starting to remember the science, right? I think their memories from where you really had religion and science were together. They were one, you know. Um, they've hidden all this information from us, and that's alchemy and astrology, and they've taken our signs and they've perverted them, right? We all know that the rainbow was it was a sign from God that he would never flood the earth again, right? And they
Yep.
took that sign from us and they perverted it. They flipped it upside down, as above, so below. So the algorithm, I think, is part of like the matrix that we're in, you guys. And now we can see you know what I mean? We can see the code around us.
But you know, when I look at a Kev and when I look at a Rich, I look at you two, you know, as human beings as the ultimate technology. And I feel like it's a damn shame that we downgrade ourselves and the masses downgrade themselves to settle for wearables of things of that nature. You gotta watch on that, you know, no disrespect to anybody, but you gotta watch on that, you know, Apple Watch or iPhone, and you think that's the brand new technology. All you gotta do is look in the mirror to see the latest technology.
Well, that's exactly right. See, what a lot of people don't realize is that the computer was designed off of what we are capable of. You know, the reptilian mind itself is 10,000 times more powerful than the conscious lying brain. And why do I call it the conscious lying brain? Because the simple fact is as you go throughout the day and the things that you come across, your mind, the reptile mind remembers it exactly the way it is. But as it feeds the information up here, the perception changes. And what it'll do is it'll create that image to be what suits your pattern. Like let's just say for instance, there's something that they do in neuro-linguistics programming where they take a person A and a person B. Now, they might say, well, person A slapped person B. Person A could be any color you want. They could be a male or a female. Person B can be anyone you want, or it could be a dog, a cat. It could be a Sasquatch if you want. You make up the story. And as you make up these stories, you can actually see where when they make these stories up, it fits what they're used to, which all that proves that, you know what, no matter what happens, you're going to manipulate the story to where it fits your pattern. And you project your pattern off on everybody. So when you go in front of the judge and he says, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? The reason why is because they know that you actually have 3 brains, and they want to get the truth out of all 3.
What the hell?
Yes, sir. Yes, that's exactly right. They know this in hypnosis and neurolinguistics programming.
Where are your 3 brains at,
like
Rich?
Well, you have the upper cortex, the paleocortex, and the reptilian. See, right here, this brain right here, this part of your brain, what it does is it takes the information in, and it's the one that decides to talk to the other part of your brain and says, hey, what this man is telling us, is it matching up with our records, and does it follow what we believe in our life? So then it'll run back and it'll check, and it'll come back and it'll say no. So you will reject all that information. But if I start speaking to you in a way that can be only the truth, like I say, low key, as you're sitting there with your earphones on, you might start to recognize the fact that you feel your earphones touching your face. And with a smile on your face, you understand and recognize exactly what it is that I'm saying to you as I'm trying to program you by the
Illuminati does not approve this
message.
message.
Straight to the reptile and reprogram it.
The Illuminati cut you off when you was talking, Rich.
Did they? Well, the whole idea is to give you a little bit of what you know right now at this second as truth, and then move your awareness throughout your body. See, because your awareness does not sit in one spot in your body. You know, right now you might recognize your ass is starting to warm up in the seat where you wouldn't have noticed it before. You might notice that your feet, as they're touching the ground, you see, your awareness moves throughout your body. It doesn't sit in one spot, right? And if I'm telling you something that I know that you can pull out through your awareness as being the truth, then what happens is certain parts of your brain will check out, and you will be susceptible to programming.
So is awareness, I don't know if I want to say is awareness what makes a person godlike? Or is awareness God's gift to human beings?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I think that our awareness inside our body, and the reason that we can move our awareness throughout our body is because, like it was stated in the Garden of Eden, that Eve ate from the apple and then she noticed herself. Before that, she didn't notice herself because she wasn't a self. She was a ball of energy, just like we're all balls of energy and we're connected. But subjectively, we're creating this illusion of a life that we're living. And your awareness can go actually outside of you. Like most of your emotions are out in front of you. They're like the icons on your computer. If you have a whole screen and the top of your screen is completely full of icons on your web page, and you move those around, you can start to figure out which ones you want to use and adjust them wherever you want to. Now, those are the way that images work in front of you. Most people ain't aware that their emotions are energy. But let's just say that I'm walking down the road and I start noticing a guy come towards me, and he's got violent arm swings and stuff, and he looks like that, he might be a harm for me. Well, my mind will go back and it'll start looking for these images, and it'll pull one up and it'll put it right in front of me. And that image might represent anxiety. And it might represent something that's happened in the past. So like you have a confrontation. If you're the type that has a confrontation with your boss or your wife all the time, as you're walking in the house, your body state will actually you'll start creating these images of the last fights and what you've done in the last fights, and your state of mind and your body state will already be ready. It'll be set up for, well, if we're going to have a confrontation, I'm ready. I got my images of all the arguments in the past and how I'm going to approach this argument, which is going to be about the same. That's a pattern that we all follow. In neurolinguistics programming, they call them hooks. Mm-hmm. So you got anchors. Hooks of happiness. Huh?
Anchors.
Yeah, anchors. They're anchor points. And you can actually go in and you can remove all the shit off them anchors. And it's like I was saying, when someone says, well, I put it behind me, they always point behind them. That's right, because the things that you want to remember that you think keep you protected, like in an argument or that situation, you keep these things in front of you. And in neurolinguistics program, they show you how to take all these images that cause these anxieties in your life, fold them up, get rid of them, and get them behind you, which is basically in hermetics, it's what they would call stale energy in the body. So like low key, if you've ever been in a car accident or a bad tragic situation where you thought you was going to die, what happens is your mind can only handle so much, and then it gets to basically the point of like post-traumatic stress. Well, it checks out. It says the mind can't handle this, and it takes that image and it brings it down here and it puts it into your body, and it says, we'll deal with this another day. So you might be driving down the road, and when you think about these images, you can't really, it's like, man, right there at the end where you thought something real bad was going to happen. It's like, but it's so fuzzy, I can't really remember it. But then you're driving down a road one day, and then that image comes up. It's like a thought in your head that pops up just out of nowhere and says, hey, do you want to deal with this today? You remember this situation? And you're like, oh, fuck, I want to be in a fucking good mood. I want to do no bullshit, turn the fucking radio up, and you forget about it, right? Has that happened before?
Yeah. And it's crazy that you bring that up, because I was in a car accident before I made my Songbird video, before I stumbled upon you guys. I was in a car accident. I got ran off the highway, and with some swift maneuvering, I prevented my car from rolling and doing all types of gymnastics in the fucking grass and shit. And but I experienced that moment when everything slowed down, and I was like, for a moment, I was like, I'm about to die.
Yeah, just think how that's when your reptilian mind kicked in and took control. That's how fast your reptilian mind is. It can actually slow down time. But right there when things start to get real fuzzy and you like lost orientation of what happened, that's because there's a part in your mind that says he can't deal with this shit right now, and it injects it into your body. But the thing about it is those emotions, those images that are sitting in your body right now that come back up later, they're playing over and over and over right there before. Let's just say if it was a shooting, over and over, you're getting shot in whatever body part over and over again. And that shit's sitting there and it's playing out in your body. And, in hypnosis, that's what they have to do, is they go in there and try to clear that shit out. Because a lot of times when you get cancers and stuff, what that is it's all them emotions built up in your body, and those cells that are in your body that are holding those memories, you've never dealt with them. You didn't know how to deal with them. But after a while, they start getting cancers.